Hello, everybody. It's Caroline. I welcome you to Coming In Hot. And we have an episode for you today. You have to understand who people are, right? And their past and their background so that you kind of understanding where we are today and how I got here today. So for me, let's go back to the dating world because I've had so many conversations. I really wanted to bring you back just to the beginning and just all the relationships because what led me to John, let me tell you something. It took a lot of work, guys. Okay. And I think it's important to always say that life just isn't a fairy tale as much as we want to believe it is. And I'm not saying it can't be great. I'm not saying it can't be fun. I'm not saying that you can't have all your dreams come true, but it doesn't come without a price. Life is hard and things happen. And I think finding the right person, the right partner, right? That's something I really want to talk about because if I went back to my younger self, right? I love going back to like talk to my younger self and what would I say to her? Like sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, God, what would you tell that girl, right? That you thought, number one, had been told her whole life that she needs to marry well, needs to marry rich. You're pretty, be quiet. There's no need for you to be studying and working. You need to sit at the library with where the lawyers are or the medical library because you need to marry someone who's really successful. It never was, you're going to be successful. I don't even think they thought about it that way. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's so much that they didn't think I was smart or didn't think anything, but I think it was very much tradition. I think it's very much our culture. Again, I'm Latino, Cuban, and where are my Latinas at? But the truth is, especially coming from a Latino background and marriage, let me tell you something, like for us in my household, I'm going to throw myself under the bus and tell you what I've been through and what I have experienced. And I don't have judgment for anybody. I've seen it all. I've been through so much. And we all handle things very differently. But if I can give any advice or any help to any young girl or any woman in my age right now feeling lost or feeling unworthy or feeling not seen or heard in her own marriage or in her own home, I just want to remind you there is a way to change that. And okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the dating scene. Let's go back to high school because I think that's where my first real heartbreak was. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Chris. So high school, legitimately, okay, is brutal. Okay, I can honestly say I had some of the best times of my life, and I also went through the hardest time of my life because it was the first time I realized that your friends can backstab you. You realize, oh, a boyfriend can cheat. Like you just, again, I don't think I was so aware at the complexities of relationships and friendships and all the bullshit that goes on, right? Like I have personally never looked at somebody's boyfriend and thought, oh, I want a piece of that. For me, it's always, oh, good for her, or I feel sorry for her. But it's not like I would ever want to interfere. I'm not a cheater. That's just something that's not in my blood. I watched it my whole life. And I don't know if it's because I've watched it my whole life and I saw how it destroys you. Like it literally destroyed my mom's, it destroyed her independence. It destroyed her worth. It destroyed her value. It destroyed her self-esteem, to be honest with you. Somebody who was absolutely drop dead gorgeous and who absolutely had everything going for her. At the end of the day, imagine some guy cheating on you, right? And like your husband consistently cheating on you. It's like, how does that make you feel? And I always said to my mom, like, were you dead in love though? Like, were you happy? And she was like, well, and you go into the whole story. And I hear this a lot, you guys, that the pressure you feel to get married, the pressure your parents put on you, the pressure social, the world puts on you. I think every single person asks you, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? Or if you're dating somebody, it's like, oh, is he the one? Are you marrying him? And you're like, I don't even fucking know him. I don't know if he snores. Like, no, until I know, like, I have no clue if I want to spend the rest of my life with somebody. And when you think about it that way, let me tell you something, ladies, start realizing that you're talking about the rest of your life. I think women don't have any understanding that you're not, hopefully, calling it quits at 40. Like the truth is, people are living to 100. Like that's crazy. Back in the day, maybe it was 40, 50, but people are living to 100 now. So just to let you know, you're stuck with your husband for maybe 80 years. Okay, so that guy that's so cute and you think is going to take care of you for the rest of your life, do you want to be with him for 80 years? Okay, that's just a question that you have to actually ask yourself. So when I go back, and I'm going to go back to high school because I think those were, yes, could I go back to my first kiss ever at Sandy Hollow Day Camp? I could. It was incredible, you guys. It was a whole moment. I had butterflies in my stomach. I went home and said I was never, ever washing my lips off. Okay? I don't think you ever forget. Chris Lamar, are you listening? Like, okay, yeah, I'm going to say everyone's name. So get ready. You guys, so first kiss, and you'll never forget that moment, right? That just the excitement and you just think you're dead in love. Okay. So that was like my first experience of like that first peck on the lips. That was like incredible. Then middle school comes in, and I mean, it's not what's happening in middle school now. That's going to be the topic of all topics, because I am in complete and utter shock and want to sit in literally a corner of my house with a straitjacket on after everything I've heard that's going on in high school and middle school. Okay. When you get into middle school, you start dating, right? You start liking the boys, and you start seeing the game playing, right? You start kind of seeing the manipulation, the bullshit, the game playing. For me, it got really rough was in high school, right? I realized what I realize now looking back, how much we crave attention, right? How much women crave attention, but like usually not for the right things. Like for me, it's like rather than crave attention for your intelligence or your capabilities or the work you have done, unfortunately, a lot of young girls, again, we're watching social media, we're watching magazines, we're watching TV, and everything looks so perfect. And you're watching all these like bullshit romance novels or bullshit movie, romantic comedies. And you realize like, that's what they're eating up, right? That's what you think. And I'm going to say something maybe a little controversial, but I actually think it's very serious. It's the same as young boys becoming addicted to porn. I mean, I'm being dead serious. It's like girls watching fairy tale movies and boys watching porn have destroyed what real relationships look like. Okay, I'm going to say it because I honestly think it's true. You have young boys obsessed with porn, watching porn and thinking that that's normal, and no real 15-year-old girl does any of that, right? So now you have a completely fucked up perception of what love is, what romance is, or what intimacy is, right? Imagine you're watching porn and that's what you think is intimacy. Now you've got a girl who's watching romance. She's watching Disney movies, and there's a knight in shining armor putting a glass slipper on her foot, right? Very different than the porn we're watching, okay? So my point is, imagine how fucked this all is if boys are wanting one thing, girls want the other, and we're all living in this illusion. So for me in high school, I think was the first time I really had my heart broken. And I want to honestly be here to tell you, I'm fine. And I just wanted to tell you, I've had a lot of heartaches. I've been cheated on. Just wait till the ex-fiance story. Oh, just wait for that. I've seen it all. I've been through it all. You think your life's over. I've been humiliated in front of my entire high school. Trust me, you will survive. And I'm doing just fine. So don't ever let some boy, I don't want a boy ever to think, or a man to ever determine your happiness, okay? Because you're going to be just fine. Okay, so usually when people screw you over, it's their problem, it's their insecurity, it's their issue, okay? It's never about you, and I want to be really clear because I think there's so many young girls who sit and think it's about them. I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not cool enough, I'm not this enough. You start changing yourself, right? That's what fitting in means, right? You change yourself to fit in rather than belonging. What does belonging mean? It means you can be your true self, and the people that surround you are comfortable around that, right? You belong because you're yourself. When you're trying to fit in, you are changing things about you to be able to fit into something. So I find it so dangerous, at this age, especially high school. I find high school really scary because, again, I think we're all dealing with so many hormones. We're all dealing with so many emotions. We all have a lot going on at home. Like for me, I was watching a lot of unhappiness at home. I was watching a lot of fighting at home. And I was kind of like very confused at what is a healthy relationship. And that's just the truth. Like in high school, I did not understand because I wasn't watching it at home. I'm watching a man who cheats. They say they love them. They stay. My mom screams and cries. And again, I'm throwing them under the bus constantly just because these are the lessons I've learned. We had a lot of good times too. And they were good parents. They were very generous. And till this day, very kind and loving. Like I'm not going to ever say I didn't have a good family, but they were not happy. My parents were not happy. So what I watched and normalized was an unhappy relationship, right? Money bought her off. So I always knew like she would get really mad. She would scream and yell. She wasn't going to leave. He would buy her a present or he would let her spend money. Then she would calm down. Then he would get over it. And then like it would be back to normal. And then it would be back to the same cycle. Just a vicious cycle of cheating, fighting, screaming, buy you a gift, buy you off, shut up, and done. And it was like, I have to be honest, it, as much as I hated it, it did look normal, became normal because that's all you're watching at home. So when I say that it does influence you and affect you, it does. And imagine taking that experience and now you're going into college and now you're going into real relationships and you have no idea what a healthy, normal relationship actually looks like. So yeah, we're going to have some problems, guys. There's going to be some glitches and bumps in the road. Okay, that's what I'm trying to tell you. So high school was the first time I was cheated on by my boyfriend and best friend. Like, this is people I'm with every day, on the phone every day. I mean, imagine high school, you're best friends, like you're out all the time, the weekends. I had the cute boyfriend, like we thought we were dead in love. Cut to that first year, it was junior year. I think we did have a great year. We were dead in love. Going to senior year, he got cocky. I don't know. He was cute. He was athletic. And for whatever reason, things started to shift. And like girls, your gut instinct is always right. Ladies, listen to your fucking gut instinct. That is not a stomach ache. That is not gas pain. That is literally your instinct telling you something doesn't feel good. Something's not right. And women love to ignore their fucking gut instincts and then be like, I have no idea what happened. Like, I didn't even know. And I'm like, really? Because I saw a text of him holding hands with somebody and you're telling me nothing happened? Like, what? So yes, women can be very blind because you don't want to accept the truth and because it fucking hurts and it's brutal and it does bruise your ego. And yes, when I found out that my boyfriend was sneaking around, so I'm on the phone with him, he's hanging up on me, going to her house, they're hooking up, I'm going to school, hanging out with both of them like an idiot. I mean, you guys, that was the first time that I really was like, I thought my life was over. Like, I screaming in my bedroom at the top of my lungs, hysterically crying, telling him what a piece of shit. Like, I couldn't believe this. My parents had to come in. I remember my dad ripping the phone out of the wall because it was like 11 o'clock at night. I'm screaming. We're fighting. I'm crying. My dad's like, it's fucking over. He's like, it's done. And I was like, no. I was like, this can't happen to me. That's what happens, guys. And it really gave me an entire new perspective on relationships, which I don't know was necessarily good. That experience wasn't good for me. And I think I went into it now kind of assuming, guys, all guys cheat. My dad cheated. Now he cheated. Now they just cheat. And my mom would always say, oh, all men cheat. All men cheat. Like, mom was like, oh God, like, nice. Like, there isn't a man. And I was like, well, that's fucked. Like, what do you mean all men? Like, it's like my mom just stopped believing in love, stopped believing in respect, stopped believing in marriage. I mean, really, it was kind of like, yeah, it's kind of a business deal. Like, you kind of get married, you're all in love, but then it's over. Everyone gets sick of each other. You have all these problems. You start cheating, you get divorced, or you just like die unhappy next to each other. I was like, okay, well, that doesn't sound romantic or fun in any way. And I was like, okay, how do we change this? Guess what? Didn't change it that easily. Ladies, it takes a lot of work to understand your worth. It takes a lot of work to understand your value. It takes a lot of work for you to realize that you don't have to put up with any of that shit. That it takes a lot of work to realize people need to fit into your life. I don't need to fit into yours. Like, do I like you? I'm not worried about you liking me. I am now more concerned, do I like you? And do I want to spend my energy on you? And do I want to spend my time with you? My time is valuable. My energy is valuable. If we could get women earlier on understanding their power and their worth and that they're in control, people aren't picking you. Like, who's picking you? You're in a line and someone's going to just be like, oh, she's cute. Okay, maybe I'll pick her. I'm like, what do you do? Who are you? How do you eat? Do you chew with your mouth closed? Like, how do you hold your fork? I need to understand what your manners are. I want to know how you speak to your mom. I want to know how you treat your family. I want to know who your friends are. I want to hang out with your friends. I want to know who your friends are. Says everything about them. Let me tell you something. Yesterday, I was giving advice, literally was getting my teeth cleaned, gave an entire speech to my young hygienist on marriage and telling her to wait, to not get married, to stop brushing, and that it's all hard. Become an interesting person. Work on yourself, make money, have a bank account, know who you are, know what you like, know what makes you feel good before you would ever even consider settling down or being in a long-term relationship. At the end of the day, when you're young, I'm going to tell you this advice right now. Travel, make money, I'm like, these girls, I literally look at my assistant and I'm like, Kayla, I don't want to hear anything about some boy. I was like, I want to hear how you're saving your money. I want to hear where you're investing. I want to hear what your goals are. I want to see how we can accomplish those. I was like, I want to know where you're traveling. Where are your friends? Are you having fun? Are you hanging out? Because I was like, I don't want to hear you talking about some bullshit like boy. I was like, because you have the rest of your life for that. And I think if people, again, understood that it's 80 years, yeah, you don't need to marry him at 18. You don't need to marry him at 24. Okay, I have a few friends who married their college sweethearts. Sorry, Aaron. I have a few friends who married their college sweethearts, and that's incredible. But I do think it's unique. I do. I don't think it's as common and as normal. And I think even that comes with its bumps in the road. I know for all of my friends, it takes work. Marriage is work. You change, you pivot, you grow. So going back to the dating and how I got to the point where I am now, where now I'm confident and realize I'm in control and I'm choosing who I want to be with. There were years that, yes, we all get caught up in the bullshit. And I just want to be able to go back and show you my mistakes and hopefully help you either divert them. Sometimes mistakes are great because you learn from them, but also that there's other options and that you have more power than you think you have. So for me, after high school, that was just, obviously torture. And like we kept getting back together. And I'm like, the fact now that I would even get back together with him is so sad to me. I look back at my younger self and it's like, you're so caught up in the bullshit. You so care what everybody else thinks. I was like, oh, she thinks she's going to get him? No. I should have been like, good luck, sweetie. Take him. Like, thank you. But instead, our egos are so fucking big that we're like, that man, who's taking, like no one's taking, meanwhile, why would I even want second half? You know what I mean? Like, why would I ever want him? But that's what women do. We convince ourselves. We convince ourselves of what we want to believe or what we want to think because of what we're watching, right? And I come in with the brutal truth, right? Because I think if we would come in with the brutal truth a lot younger and a lot earlier, I think we would avoid a lot of unhappiness. I really do. Because I feel like if we took the time to actually get to know who we are and what we actually like and not be influenced by our fucking friends or by social media or by what other thing, what you think. I've gone to things that I thought it would be the best party or went on a date thinking, oh my God, this guy is everything. Like he's got the money, the fame, the power, this. Have never felt more uncomfortable. I can't even tell you, we went to a restaurant, went to dinner, and I've never felt so uncomfortable. Like, yes, I'd rather be drinking a beer by a fire at the lake with a bunch of friends that I feel comfortable. Like I myself put myself in a lot of situations that I thought I needed to be in to live up to a certain expectation, or that I had to be dating certain people because that's what my family expected of me or my parents had basically raised me to do. I had put myself in situations because it was kind of like, oh, he's really successful and he's wealthy. Like, okay, you kind of convince yourself of all the excuses. You know what I mean? You don't even tell yourself the truth. You actually start talking to yourself about all the excuses and all the expectations, and you're not actually asking yourself, are you happy? And does this really make you feel good? And I think that to me became a serious question. So long story short, through college, dated, had some long boyfriends. Again, they all were kind of fun for a while, but then it was either whether you had to get a restraining order or the breakups or the dating. It was never anything that would be considered long-term. It was all more fun. And I was in that head frame after high school, after my parents. I don't want to settle down. I just want to have fun. If it suits me, great. I'm not going to get really settled down. After college, let me tell you something. My parents put so much pressure on me. My little sweet Latino parents were like, when are you getting married? What are you doing? You are becoming an old hag. I'm like, I'm 24. They were like, it doesn't matter. When are you having kids? Let's go. Get it together. And I'm like, oh my God, the pressure that everyone puts on you to get married. I haven't even worked. I don't even know who I am. I don't even know what I like. I should have money. And my mom was like, no. Someone takes care of you. What are you talking about? You marry well, they take care of you, have kids. And I was like, God, but that just doesn't sound fun. I was like, if it's anything you were doing, I'm like, I don't know if I want that. And mom was like, what are you talking about? That's what everybody wants. What are you crazy? She was like, you get married and have kids. Like, that's what you go to college for. I was like, I thought you go to college for education. Literally, mom was like, you go to college to get married. I was like, oh my God. So to be a very strong, independent daughter was brutal for my mom because she was like, fall fucking in line. And she's like, I have a plan for you. We haven't worked this hard and sacrificed this much for you to look good, be cute, be pretty, have money, for you to now do whatever the fuck you want. And I was like, oh God, this is going to be brutal. So there I went and I did it. I followed along. I did, you guys. I would be set up, I would take the setups for all my friends that had like the hedge fund guy and the this guy and the lawyer guy. And like you know, would go on a lot of dates. And I'm going to say, I wasn't a hussy. Okay. I'm going to put that out there. I wasn't sleeping around. I know you're probably all thinking that when I'm saying I was dating so much. Okay. Take your heads out of the gutter. I was a good girl most of the time. Most of the time. Okay. John, are you listening? Hope not. That is the truth. Like I had fun. I was one of those people that always say, and I say this to my assistant all the time, I'm a yes person. I'm not saying say yes to having sex with everyone. I am saying yes to meeting people. I'm saying yes to opportunities. I say yes to having fun or going to dinner. Like you never know. And I always say this to someone's like, it might not be him. Like dinner isn't going to kill you. You might have a nice dinner. You have a nice drink. Like, okay. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Who cares? But the fact is, what if that guy maybe doesn't work with him, but like his cousin or his great friend, you go to a party and maybe it didn't work out with you guys, but like he introduces you to somebody else, or like you're at dinner that night and you just never know, right? It's just one of those things that like, I think it's important to meet as many people as you can. That's why I think travel is so important. And that's why I say every young girl should be traveling. You should be honestly spending your money, saving your money. And if you're going to spend it, I would be spending it on experiences, because what makes you an interesting person? Having experiences, being able to talk about things, talk about where you've traveled, foods you've tasted, other worlds, other religions. Like I've traveled the world, and I have to say that's the greatest gift my parents gave us. All the fighting, all the bullshit, the greatest gift they ever gave us was constantly traveling, because we got to see so much of the world, and you kind of realize you're not alone in this tiny little bubble. Right? Like a lot of times, yes, people stay in their small towns, and I'm not saying this is bad. If you're happy and that's where you're comfortable and happy, that's amazing. But there's a lot of people living in towns or in little places and rural places that are like dreaming of, is there more out there? Is there anyone else? Like these 4 people in town, is this it? And it's like, I'm here to say, yes, there's an entire world out there. And sometimes you got to pop your bubble and take chances. And sometimes you do have to get out of your comfort zone. Again, yesterday I was literally cleaning my teeth, and the incredible hygienist was telling me how she loves to travel alone. And I was like, but you're so young. What do you mean you travel alone? She was like, no, it's a great experience. You meet incredible people. You have this incredible culture. She's like, it's made me so independent and strong. And I was like, that is so impressive. See, I found that to be so impressive. Her telling me that she was dating some rich guy, I'd be like, oh, sweetie, come on. I'd be like, oh, God. All right, let me just give you some fair warnings of what strings are attached to that. The fact that she found independence first, the fact that she was looking to find herself first, to figure out who she is, what is she like she has a job, she has money, she doesn't need anybody. And I was like, how fucking badass is that? You don't need anybody. You can want to be with somebody, but you don't need them. And when you're marrying for money, and when you put all your eggs in one basket, and when you, yes, get married and have kids, and you have to let go of your career, you have to, in like 8 years, even 15 to 18 years at your home, there's power given away there. And it is hard to find your independence. You do become dependent, because at the end of the day, the person that's running the show and has the money controls, and they do have more power. So for me to listen to a young girl saying, I love to travel, I want to be independent, I'm not rushing to marriage, I want it to be something that suits me, I want to work, I want to make money, nothing impresses me more. So I hope that this inspires you in any way. I hope every single Monday, I genuinely hope I can come on here and remind you of how important you are and what power you have, and that you don't have to give your power away to any man. And for me, this is where the doozy comes in, because I did, okay? I dated all the people that my parents wanted me to date. I would go out, I'd be set up, tons of dinners, and I've decided I don't like the word picky anymore. And I say this because, again, Kayla, my sister, was saying how picky she is. And I said, no, you're not picky, you have boundaries. I was like, no, that's not picky. You know what you want, you know what you like. So you're putting a negative connotation on you knowing what you like and knowing what works for you, rather than just saying like, we'll see. I'll see if I like them. I don't know. Like, I'm going to test it out. I'm going to see, if it works, great. If we have a lot in common, as long as it doesn't affect it's supposed to be a partnership, right? And I think a lot of it turns into a woman giving in and then following his life, right? It's not usually 2 lives coming together independently to be a team. And I think that's one of the greatest mistakes for me. And that's something I wish we had started way earlier, even in our marriage, is like and I will talk about John. I am going to talk about how I met John and how we created this situation that we're in now, because I think it's super important, because it's not going to be what you think. And sometimes happiness and success, especially in a marriage or in a friendship, it's about you genuinely being honest about what you like doing or who you are and what you really like and what makes you comfortable and happy, rather than trying to pretend to be something or like something that you don't really like because you're trying to fit in. Because then, unfortunately, that always burns you. Because again, if you're lying about liking to do that, what's going to happen in 10 years when you have to do that every single Sunday? Or like for me, I don't like watching sports on Sundays. Like now I do with the kids. Like Sawyer's gotten me more excited about it because I want to be part of his life and I want to like be a part of it. But truly, when I met John, it's like he's not somebody who sits home on Sunday and watches football. That's not something I ever did. And I never, ever wanted to date somebody like that, because I knew for me, I don't want a bunch of guys in my house drinking beers watching football. I just knew it just wasn't my vibe, really. And I'm being brutally honest. And there were guys I dated where I was like, oh my God, I fucking hate, like I hate this. Like no, I want to be out working out. I want to be out during the day. I want to go do something that makes, I don't know. That to me so something as simple as that, I would have friends be like, are you fucking crazy? Like you are so picky. You're never going to meet anybody. And I was like, that's fine. If I don't meet anybody, that's fine. But I'm also not going to be with somebody that I have to put up with all their shit. And now I'm in my house where I'm supposed to be comfortable and at peace and happy. And now I'm dealing with like the person that's driving me nuts. Like that doesn't make sense to me. So for me, first piece of advice with dating is be fucking brutally honest about who you are. Do not put on a show. Be who you really are. And if you really don't like something, say it. If there's something you really want, say it. I'm going to tell you now, ladies, and I know this is going to shock you, so I hope you're sitting down. Men can't read your minds. I know. It sucks. It's a nightmare. I literally look at John and I'm like, I don't understand how you're not reading every single thing I'm saying right now to you, because I'm going to fucking kill you. He's like, men don't read your mind. And women literally will be like, we are so passive aggressive. We have to be honest, guys. Okay. Like I say this all the time. We are passive aggressive. And you know what I mean? We are the type that will be like, no, it's fine. I'm going to fucking, if you don't fucking turn around and buy me flowers, I'm going to fucking, meanwhile, and he's like, he has no idea you really want, you just said you were fine. Now he doesn't buy you flowers. Now you hate him. So that's my point, is it's all a shit show and you've got to figure out who you are. And I think for me, the greatest journey I have had has been figuring out who I really am and what I really like. Not what my mom likes, not what my dad likes, not what my sister wanted, not what my friends wanted, not what John necessarily wants or my kids. Like really having and carving out a place where it's okay to want what I want. And in dating, you have to be really strong, guys. I'm telling you, it is so easy to fall trap. It just is. So for me, I'm going to tell you my engagement story, because talk about heartbreak, talk about humiliation, talk about thinking you will never survive this. Like, now imagine yourself, okay? You know my dating history. Now you know my parents. They've been trying to get me married to some rich, great guy and like wanting me to be like set for life, whatever the hell that means. And I say this all the time. That is the biggest bunch of bullshit. Nobody can promise you that, right? Because there is no guarantee in life. You have no idea if he's going to lose his job. If the stock market is going to crash and he loses it all, then what? Do you still like him? So my greatest thing for you to ask yourself, especially if you got parents like pressuring you to date, marry well, or if you in your head think I really want to marry a rich guy, I want you to really ask yourself before that, if he lost all his money, would you still be happy with him? Just genuinely, and that's an honest question, because again, do you like his personality? Do you like his habits? Do you like his values? Do you like his mood, his energy? So anyone can lose anything. And do you still like them? And for me, I'm like, John and I could live in a tent and we'd be okay. Like, yes, will we fight? Am I going to be happy? Maybe not. Like I might be cranky. There might be a hard moment, but we are the type of people that will come together and be like, what do we need to do to make this work? So I got engaged, guys. I was engaged before John. I know. Gossip away. I was engaged before John. Yes. I think I was 25, 26. I gets it up. So at that time in New York, living in New York, we were in the scene. It was very Sex in the City. I have to be honest with you. Like when that show came out, that really kind of was what it was like, guys. You were out late at night. The city, New York City is a great place to be in your 20s, 30s, like working and going out at night, late nights, parties. We were always meeting guys. We were always meeting people. We had so much fun. We really did. And at one point I was kind of dating somebody that honestly I had a really great relationship with. He was an incredible guy. I had met him on an airplane. He was the male steward. He's going to kill me too. Okay. He was the steward. And let me tell you, he was the cutest thing. And he gave me his number. It was one of those, like an airplane. I was going to Club Med. I mean, it was like the typical story. And bottom line, he calls me after the trip. We end up dating. He ends up being actually an incredible human being. But it is not what my parents wanted for me. And my parents are like, if you think you're marrying a flight attendant, we're going to have a serious issue. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with the flight? And my mom is like, listen, this is not what we planned for you. And you're not going to. I was like, oh my God. And let me tell you something. It affected me, you guys. Like, I think did really love him. Like, he was a really great guy. And my parents, literally the pressure and the constant talking and the constant, it does change you. It just does. It makes things very hard. And I did not feel like I had the choice because, again, I'm living at home. My parents are helping me. They're paying for me. They have a voice, right? Your money controls you. So if your parents are paying for you or they're helping you, they have a voice. Don't ever think they don't. If you don't want your parents to control you or have a voice or tell you to get married, then don't take money from them. Don't live at home. Get a fucking job and go get your shit together. Because if not, you will have to follow. So I fell into that trap. Long story short, a good friend of mine introduced me to him, sent me on a blind date because he was trying to look good to his friend because he was investing in the hedge fund. And needless to say, we met, we started dating. And I will say, he was everything on paper, and he is a good guy, guys. I don't want to throw him under the bus. Honestly, we had an incredible conversation a few weeks ago, and like there is zero hard feelings. It's all good. But in the moment, I have to say we were not a match made in heaven, okay? Because again, I was very independent. I was very strong-minded. I was very opinionated. I'm very confrontational. I'm not afraid. I'm not somebody who's scared. So for me to be with somebody with that kind of wealth, unfortunately, you don't have a voice. And when I say that strings are attached, they are. You are under their control, especially with that kind of money. They are extremely powerful. You have a lot of people kissing their ass 24/7, and you're expected to be one of them. And when you're not a kiss ass, let me tell you something, it's really fucking hard. So for me, when I got engaged, those 2 years, genuinely, and I think we will one day have an even deeper conversation of this because it really changed who I was and how I saw things, because I have never felt like in 2 years, I think I was dead inside. Like I became dead inside because being at that level of work and that level of money and that level of like life, it's funny. It's what I thought I always wanted. It's what I thought I was living, what every single friend of mine was dying for. I mean, I had a helicopter taking me to the Hamptons. I had my Hamptons house. I had a driver. I had anything you could possibly want. Like I could buy whatever, but I was so unhappy. I was so unhappy. The stress of the passive aggressive, the stress of the kind of manic that he was, worked in the stock market, worked in this. And it was very like the highs and lows were so intense that I never knew what I was going to get. I always felt like the rug was going to be pulled from under me. I always felt anxious. I always felt nervous. The ex-girlfriend was literally calling every night at 3 a.m, pranking, stalking us. Like she was upset that he didn't marry her. It was such a shit show that the fact that I didn't see all those red flags and the fact that I didn't scream code red, someone come get me, goes to show you how manipulated you can get. And it goes to show you that the strongest, toughest of us can fall prey to what is expected of you and falling into like, oh, you want to be like everyone else. This is what's expected of you and you're supposed to marry well and now you are and here you are. And all of a sudden I was like, but I'm miserable. Like he's always in a bad mood or he's always like, you never know what you're going to get. I always feel like maybe there's always women hitting on him. The rich guys, there's always women hitting on them. There's always women like so disrespectful to you. I remember being in the Hamptons and it was always like all these girls trying to hit on, and I'd be like, what is going on? I was like, I hate this. I just remember being like, I hate this. I don't feel like I have any power. I don't feel like I have a voice. I don't feel like I have any control and I'm stuck. And now we're getting married and I have the engagement ring on that everybody wanted me to get, the big, huge 5 carats, you know what I mean? The whole thing, we planned the big, huge engagement party, like all these people. I'm like anxiety to the bone. I can't believe we're really doing this. We're not even, I know we're not happy, but like, all right. And then the blow of all blows, guys. Okay. Yeah. This one who thought she was the hottest thing walking Now I landed the rich guy. Now we've got everything everyone expected of me. I was like, I have followed through and I have done what I was told to do. One day, all of a sudden, the phone rings and it's the next ex-girlfriend saying, "Hi, is Adam there?" And I'm like, actually he's at work. And I would assume you would know that. So, because it's 9:15 and the market's open. So no, she's like, "Oh, he just called me. So I was just calling him back." I was like, "Oh, is that right?" So of course I immediately call Adam at work screaming at the top of my lungs. And he's like, "I have to go. It's the stock market's open." And like hung up the phone. Cut to the worst day of my life in that time. What I thought would be the worst day of my life. It was actually the greatest blessing, right? It saved me years of maybe being unhappy, maybe being divorced, maybe God knows what. Stress, maybe I would have gotten sick. I don't know. But the truth is that day saved me because that sweet little guy was sneaking around over to his ex-girlfriend's house and never came home. Couldn't find him. Like he wasn't answering his phone. And around 5, 6 o'clock when he should be home, usually at a dinner meeting, I got the doorbell rang. And yes, this was so classy, you guys. Our chauffeur showed up. Chauffeur at the door, okay? Hands me a letter. And you guys, I didn't tell this story for a very long time because I thought it was just so humiliating, honestly. And literally was handed a letter and basically telling me that just wasn't going to work out. And he was maybe going back with his ex, and that he really cared about me and my family and that we were wonderful people and that it just wasn't going to work, and basically take care. And our engagement party's in 2 days. And I'm living with somebody with an engagement. Like, I was like, I'm sorry. What, like the letter, imagine getting a fucking letter, you guys, 27 years old, like 26 years old. I thought I came from a good family. I thought I was like a good catch. And I just got a fucking letter telling me that take care. I was like, I had a choice there. I was like, I'm either going to break down and become this pathetic person that's going to beg for, like the ex who was begging and calling in this. I was like, if you don't value me, I'm out. And I called my 3 best friends. We were up all night to the point where I was numb. We just drank, smoked cigarettes, took a Xanax. We just talked as much shit about him as we possibly could. Then the great friends that they were waited, because then he ended up calling. Obviously, he had to come home at some point to deal with this. And they waited in the lobby to see him get out of the taxi and take the same taxi so they could find out where he was coming from. And then they texted me. So they gave him the stink eye and they got in the car and found out he was coming from her place. So I already knew now where he had been. So he was fucked. Long story short, it was the worst night of my life. I packed up. I asked him to please leave so I could pack up everything, and packed up all my bags, all my Louis Vuitton bags. Yeah, me and my big fancy pants. There went the chauffeur. There went the helicopter. There went the house. There went everything my parents promised me. Now I have my fucking Louis Vuitton bags that this motherfucker bought me, and I'm standing at the bus stop. I'm like, okay. Well, that didn't work out. I was like, okay, this is not good. Had to cancel the entire engagement party, call off the wedding, and basically let all of New York society know that I was completely fucked over. So let's just say, ladies, I'm fine. I just want to say that again. Couldn't be better. Couldn't be happier. Thriving, living my best fucking life. So what that did was save me. That was something I was forcing for everyone else. And this is not to take anything away from him. Again, I have the utmost respect for him. Adam is an incredible guy. Like, seriously, in the moment, yes, it sucked. It was brutal, but he saved me because we were not the right match and it wasn't good. And I was feeling the pressure of everyone. And it actually wasn't what was making me happy. And to be able, thank God that I was able, thank God he had the balls to do that. And thank God I had the balls to stay away. You know what I mean? Because it takes a lot, because trust me, yes, he did come back. And yes, he did apologize. And yes, he was like, oh my God, what did I do? And for me, I could never trust you again, right? Me having trust issues. Imagine coming from a family, the dad that's always cheating, then a high school boyfriend, then cheating. Now he just hands me a letter that he's going back to his ex-girlfriend. Like, you can imagine how I viewed marriage, how I viewed relationships. I was like, I'm done. I was like, guess what? I'd rather be alone than in bad company any day. I enjoy my company. I enjoy being alone. I got this. I have no interest in anyone ever making me feel that I was less than or unimportant or didn't have a voice or that I wasn't in control of my own life and my own future and my own destiny because of fucking money. I was like, we're done. So I really want to say, because I'm not going to go into the whole John story because that's just a separate episode. It just goes to show you that anything is possible. I just want to remind you genuinely that you have so much power, that you do have a voice, use it, that you are in control of your own life. I know a lot of people like to make decisions for you, but you have the right to say no, and you have the right to decide what suits you and what's right for you, because life is really hard, and having a partner that you can depend on, that you can count on, the one that's going to go pick up your mom when she has Alzheimer's and is crying and pack her up and bring her home for you, or tell you that your mom, yes, she can move in, of course, like we're going to take care of her. Not everyone does that, okay? And I know sometimes the glitz, the glam, the money, all of that is super impressive and it is exciting. And yes, do we all want to have a fucking nice house and nice things and buy the bag and all that? Yes, but I would never want all of that if I wasn't happy. So like for you, at the end of the day, take care of you. Make sure you're an interesting person. Make sure you've got your shit together. Make sure you've got money in the bank. Make sure you know how to fucking take care of yourself, what you like, what you don't like, so that you choose for you your best partner in life. Yes, you can. I honestly believe it. So take your power back. You don't need to put up with shit. I want to remind you every day that you're beautiful, you're strong, you're capable, and you can do hard things. And you're smart. Stop giving your power away. Start living for you. Next Monday, we're going to be coming in hot with another topic. I love you guys. Have an incredible week. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow along. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the love and support. Bye.